Doo doo doo. Hello to anyone's here and anyone who's not here yet. Mhm. Hi, Blue Odyssey. Odyssey. Hey, guys. So, as always, I decided to do an absolutely random live. Hey, guys. How's everyone doing today? That's my question. I want to hear your stories and then I'm going to share mine, or not mine, and well, yeah, mine as well. It's more of what I'm hearing from folks around. What is happening with my hmm. Hello, hello. Hey guys, hey everyone. Hi, I didn't dispatch flatbed since January and starting again tomorrow. How did the market change? Oof, that's what I want to talk to you guys about. So I can only speak on flatbeds because we're a flatbed carrier, and most of the folks we talk to in our company, they're also flatbed carriers, either owner operators or drivers. Yeah, it. I mean, I hate the fact someone called, like, someone was kind of rough about this channel saying that, don't listen to her, she only says like bad things and how you can't make in the truck like make money in the trucking industry. But you know what, I am not a fan of smoke and mirrors, so I'm going to tell you how it is. It's a shitstorm with flatbeds right now, something that it's not just me who's realizing. The gross income is just going down. It's just consistently getting lower and lower. The rates do go up in some areas, but this is because the miles are becoming shorter. So you're getting a good rate per mile, but the gross income is not there. This is something that I have been seeing, especially this month. And we're not the only ones, apparently, because a fellow flatbedder, he owns his own company, and I think he has like 4 drivers. He said something happened to the gross income, it just went down. And the market is getting so inconsistent. Like, I had one guy in Illinois today, really close to Chicago, and my goodness, I mean, I knew that the market is getting a little bit worse in the Midwest. But geez, once I put in the filters, and the filters weren't like anything crazy. It was just like most of the Midwest, most of the South, the Southeast, and there were like 20 loads. I'm like, what is going on? Hi, hello. Hi, it's Monday. Did you have a great weekend? I had an okay weekend, more or less. How was your weekend? Well, I think I'm closing down. 3-inch hail destroyed the truck yesterday, and with the way things are, I think that money had to take the payout and run. Yeah, wow, 3-inch hail. Yikes. I mean, you're not the only one, Matthew. You know, I try to, the thing that I try to convey on this channel is to remember that we're not alone in this, right? There are pretty much 95%, I would say, of people, they're going through this difficult time. So you're not alone, you're not crazy, and I completely understand. And if you decide that this is something that you want to step away from, I wish you the best of luck in whatever you decide to pursue next. But yeah, for sure, it's been really, really tough, and everyone's like on the edge. One, like people say, one breakdown away from just shutting it down. Guys, I'm drinking water for the first time in my life instead of Diet Coke because I ran out. Going to Florida, no AC. Headed into work, evening LTL shuttle run, Atlanta to Shreveport. Nice. Fuel costs going up. Yeah, it it was like going down, and then you see like this straight line up. If you look at the chart on Sonar, yeah, it went up like crazy. This has to do a lot with panic. over what's going to happen. The reality is that that thing that they want to, I forgot what it's called, that they want to close down, they really can't without affecting China as well. And considering that China is kind of, I don't know if they're an ally or not. I don't think they're going to do it, but the panic is real. Melting. Oh my God. Florida without air conditioning. Yeah, I can imagine. Everybody be ready for rising fuel prices. Please excuse my dogs. Yeah, no, the fuel prices definitely went up like crazy. Funny enough, FreightWaves said that, oh, they're not, I mean, they went up, but it's nothing outrageous. It is outrageous. And this also has to do with sentiment. Going to Baltimore now on flatbed, nothing to get out of there so far. Yeah, the East Coast is tough for a flatbed and it's spreading. That's the thing that I am really having a hard time. It was like at first, Pennsylvania, if you were closer to Ohio, you were good. The Midwest was good. Then all of a sudden, Pennsylvania, Maryland, New Jersey, they're all horrible. And even like half of Ohio is bad. And then it spread. And now the only area that you get something worth anything is the South. Even the Southeast, like at least today, it wasn't great. And last week I realized that Arkansas, and I said this in my market update, Arkansas, a market that we have been relying on consistently to get better. This is like where we were striving to be. Yeah, it was just a mess. Starting on, I believe it was June 19th, that I realized that it's just not great. It's really annoying. I honestly, it keeps you on your toes, this industry, because you think you are adapting and it changes on you in a second. Ready, low debt. Okay, we love the ghost. uh, Mother Trucker Channel sucks, always scaring drivers. I don't know. I mean, I'm subscribed to him. I watch sometimes like certain videos that I'm interested. I don't like religiously watch the videos, but I feel like when people say, "Oh, it's just there to scare," I don't think so. At least I'm speaking from my own experience. When people say, "Oh, you're just trying to scare everyone," I'm not. I'm just telling you how it is. And then it's up to you. Because if I were to say everything is fantastic, yeah, come into this industry, I don't want to be responsible for people then, you know, being like, well, you lied. It's better to tell the truth and just speak on the reality of the industry. Do you currently use or are you planning to use any artificial intelligence solutions as part of your trucking business today? No, I don't. No, not really. I use AI, like I use Grok, but that's more to like do quick calculations that have nothing to do with trucking, to be honest. Or sometimes what I would do is for this channel, I would screenshot, like if I was really interested in what's happening in a particular market, I would screenshot the load board with the rates and I would tell it, okay, give me the average rate per mile. Like these are the kinds of things that I use AI for, but to integrate it into our trucking company, no. Flatbed 8K weekly gross is a good week. Yeah, good week. I mean, for this time, yeah, I would argue that it's not bad. It's not bad. It's really getting, I don't know. I'm having, you know, a challenging time. Big company I work for is using AI for routing city drivers. Got it. Yeah, I use, first of all, I trust my guys enough to route. They have the Garmin GPSs, which show you the low bridges and where a truck shouldn't go. I use Google Maps to figure out the routes, but yeah, it's getting super slow. Yeah, I agree. It is getting super slow. It's like the load volume is not there. In-house IT department developed. Yeah, if you're going to use or integrate AI into your business, for sure, it has to be in-house developed. Otherwise, that's going to cost an arm and a leg. Find me the load out of Northeast. Have a truck in Hillside, New Jersey, and Pottsville, Pennsylvania right now. Oh, that's tough. But I do not dispatch outside carriers. And the Northeast, yikes. Yeah. Like I said, the Northeast was, at first it was not great. Then it got worse. Then it got worse. And then it started spreading. It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating because you always try, the best is when you have consistency in the market and you can, no matter where you go, you know that you're going to find something. The consistency disappeared really in towards the middle to end of 2022. And it never really recovered, but there were still markets where you could rely on freight. For the flatbed, it was always the South. For reefers, predominantly it was Illinois when we were doing reefers. I remember Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Yeah, we could get loads from there. And it feels like even the stable markets are becoming a problem. Good afternoon. Hoodie is on point and always grateful for the work and effort you put into this. Thank you so much. I stole the hoodie from my son. But he doesn't mind. I love this hoodie. Prayers to USA. Hopefully we don't. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, no one, yeah, we live in an interesting time. For sure, we live in a very interesting time right now. A lot of questions, a lot of like wait and see. Yeah, wait and see moments, I would say. He's not scaring people. He's just doing too much clickbait for his titles. Guy, we're talking about Mother Trucker. I don't know. Again, I don't watch him religiously. I watch videos on topics that I'm interested in at the moment. Like I'm searching for something and he pretty much covers everything. So I personally, I enjoy his videos. I think he looks like a really, really nice guy, which I appreciate. But yeah, clickbait, I never really, again, that I think it's because I don't just religiously watch the videos. I just watch what I search for pretty much. Do you have any experience regarding car haulers? Is it better than general freight or the same? I do not have experience with car haulers. I have heard about it. There was a time, I believe, when it was better. I think it was about a year ago. But my the only knowledge I have about car haulers is pretty much that the payment is different and you get paid on delivery or something like that. But yeah, I'm not as familiar with car haulers. I just came to get a let's go. Can we get a let's go? Sure. Ready? Let's go. That was totally not it. Hold on. Ready? Let's go. uh, that was like a weird let's go first time around. Would you be able to add container forecast to your market updates? Eduardo, I would love to. I would love to expand the market update to, to help as many people as possible. But unfortunately, I just cannot find the data. Yeah, the data just is not there, or if it's there, it's mixed in with everything else that is considered specialized, right? I even got a subscription now as of last week. I got a subscription to the DAT load board, which I don't use at all. I just got it for the market update to be able to show you guys the MCI index, because that is based on how often do brokers search for trucks in a particular area versus how often do carriers search for loads, which gives you an idea of supply and demand. But even that, it only shows you flatbed, dry van, reefer. If I find it, I'd be glad to include it in the market update. Do you do hazmat? If so, is compliance and safety a challenge given the complex regulations? I do not. We have never done hazmat. Funny enough, I was just talking to one of my business partners about hazmat loads and how some guy is making bank on hazmat right now. But I have never. We have never touched the stuff. I hope DOT has started getting the non-English speaking people off the road soon. I know the compliance date is June 25th, so the day after tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens. But I can tell you something, just spoiler alert, this is gonna be in the market update. I looked at Sonar, the capacity, and capacity is finally had a drop, which is the biggest drop since January 24th of this year. We lost 315 carriers net. So, yeah. I don't know if it has to do with the June 25th compliance date or not, but yeah. Hazmat is mandatory where I work. We try to contract out long cross-country loads, but still use company drivers for hazmat doubles. Contractors are 53 foot. No hazmat. Hazmat rates are higher. Yes, hazmat rates are definitely higher. This is something I do see. Even though we're a flatbed carrier, you will once in a while see that like, oh, must be hazmat. And you know it's hazmat before you even click on it if it doesn't say oversized because of the rate. Hi there. Hi, brother Neil from Texas. Trucking through the 70s and 80s was fun. I wish everybody out there good luck with their trucking. I'm retired at 55 years over the road. Thank you, Bones. Yeah. Yeah, everyone says that trucking used to be fun and then this happened. And yeah, I have heard stories like one of my business partners was talking to a guy who has been in this industry for a long time. I don't remember if it was 30 or 40 years. And he's like, I've never seen it like this, ever. Oof. We hope the market corrects itself soon. And as the military contractors get orders to sustain this new Iran war expenditure, guess who owns these companies? I hope that the market corrects itself soon. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's just, again, it's not the market itself that drives me crazy. Yes, it does, of course, but it's the fact that it changes on you and you can't seem to adapt quickly enough. It's like the moment you're like, okay, I am able to operate in these new conditions, it changes again. Yeah. Expand market. There's nothing on market. Yeah, no, it's hard. We have been deadheading a lot lately. It's really, really difficult. What's the best load board for reefers, do you think? I think for reefers, you would be better off using the DAT load board. If you have an open deck trailer, truck stop all the way. Do you have an opinion on trucking companies with dispatch and or back office overseas? I do not have, I know that a lot of people expect me to share some like crazy opinion about those things. I do not. I think that dispatching companies overseas, I understand the point people who are against it are making. I think it opens up, okay, this is what I think. The overseas dispatching companies, it opens the door to potentially more fraud. However, I do understand owner operators who choose to use dispatching companies that are overseas, especially if they were recommended because of the lower fee, right? Not every owner operator is going to be able to dispatch themselves, not because they can't, but because there's no time, right? It takes, again, last week, it took me on average 7 hours to book a load. So you do have to find a dispatcher for certain people, and they would rather pay less, which I understand. In this market, that's the only way. You have to cut your costs. Thank you, EC. If illegal immigrant drivers get deported, would that better the trucking economy? I think that what is going to happen is anytime you talk about drivers leaving from the industry, what you're talking about is capacity exiting. And capacity exiting, no matter why it happens, capacity exiting should skew the load to truck ratio in the carrier's benefit, of course. But that is provided that the load stayed the same, or even if they decrease, not as much as capacity. Yeah, not as much as capacity does. Because if capacity leaves, but load volumes also drop at the same ratio, we'll say it like that, then you're not going to see a change. If loads increase but capacity decreases, then you're looking at a completely different market. That's what happened in 2021. So yeah, anytime you're talking about drivers leaving for any reason, you're talking about a decrease in capacity. In theory, yes, if volume stayed the same, or increase or decrease slightly, yeah, rates are going to go up. Absolutely. Where was I? Leaving my trucks parked for now. Any small companies hiring 25 years experience, and I've pulled everything but tanker. Anyone hiring, guys? 25 years experience. That is amazing. Top 3 brokers you like working with and why? I'll tell you right now. So, let's see. Uh BMAC, we've been working a lot with BMAC recently. They usually are easier to negotiate with. At least that's what I have found. United Vision Logistics, love those guys, especially the office that is based out of Texas, I believe. They are just a very special kind of broker. Absolutely love them. They're very, I think I said it before, very godly people, like religious, very religious. And I thought it was just an email signature, maybe, but no, when you talk to them, very godly people. And then also, let's see, who else? You know who I really like? I don't know how to pronounce their brokerage, Reinsfelder. We have worked with them a couple of times lately, and I really, really like the way they work. Reinsfelder Inc. So those are the top 3 at the moment that I enjoy. And then I have those that I have built a direct relationship with as well. But one of them is Scottco Trucking, and there's this one gentleman who always helps us out. Um, do you think the rates will go higher when and if the gas prices go higher also? Theoretically, they should because of fuel surcharge, but the reality is, yeah, unfortunately, regardless of what's happening with fuel, a lot of brokers, they will not pay higher. They might say they're giving you a fuel surcharge, but that's just going to be part of the rate without fuel surcharge, if that makes sense. Hi, Miranda. Thanks for putting out videos about the trucking world. You're so welcome. I'm learning as I'm putting them out. I'm learning from what I research and from you guys as well. Trucking was fun in the good old days. Yeah. I mean, I've been in this industry only since 2019, but it was definitely more fun than it is now. Currently in Montana, freight so cheap. Any suggestions where to go? So depending on where in Montana you are, but darn, that is a tough one. What kind of equipment do you have? Because yeah, Montana is tough. There are like, when was it? It was last year. Last year in November, I believe. Billings, Montana. Was it Billings? That was okay. You could get out of there. But yeah, when you go to Montana, regardless of which equipment, because I know it's a pretty dead market regardless, when you go to Montana, always try to figure out what the deadhead will be out, because right now you are in a position where you are either going to North or South Dakota or Wyoming, Colorado, Idaho. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. The last time we got stuck in Montana, we deadheaded, and it wasn't really Montana, it was North Dakota, right on the border. We deadheaded something like 800 miles. Yeah. When will we get loads back? There are no loads for dry van. That is a great question. There really are. And it's not just dry van. I feel like every equipment type is having a really, really hard time right now. The load volumes, it seems like on the spot market, at least, they are decreasing. So you're not crazy. It is actually happening. I see it too, as a flatbed carrier. And I see it even in places where there should be a ton of loads, like Texas or Oklahoma was never amazing, but Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, yeah, Mississippi, we very rarely get there because there are no loads, which is the best market. But there are no loads going to Mississippi. But yeah, there's a lot, again, like I said, there are a lot of questions that people have. No one is sure what is going on. No one is sure what tomorrow is going to bring. And that creates a little bit of instability. And instability, yeah, it doesn't, it's doesn't do well with trucking, I would say. Okay, what needs to happen so that flatbed loads volumes come to normal? Realistically, we need interest rates to come down. That is the number one thing that has to happen because interest rates are in part the reason why no one's building. Number two, the economy. The economy has to change. Right now, I was just looking today. Flatbeds are really, really closely tied to construction. And I was just looking on Redfin. If you guys don't know what Redfin is, it's where you can look at what houses are available in the market, if you're buying a house. I personally love looking just to see what's out there. They have the ability to see the inventory versus the demand. The inventory is pretty much the highest it has been since 2020. Right. So there are a ton of houses on the market. The demand is not the lowest it has been in 5 years, but pretty low. So there's no demand. People don't have money to buy new houses, right? They don't want to get a new house because the interest rates are insane and are going to eat them alive. And there's a ton of stuff in the market already. Why would people build? So that is what is affecting in part flatbeds. Yeah, interest rates are a very, very big thing that everyone has to be paying attention to. Quick question about the spot market pay. If a company pays you with Zelle, is that pay under the table? Zelle must be reported. Zelle is reported, I believe, there was something I read recently about Zelle. Zelle must be reported to the IRS. I don't think it's considered money under the table, although I am not sure. We have always used ADP for payroll, so not 100% sure. I have 1 year MC and 2 out of service violations. Now my new insurance is high. So is there a way removing these violations or should I buy a new MC? I do not recommend buying a new MC. In terms of removing violations, they fall off after about 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. Insurance wise, I think there are some. I have heard that there are lawyers or some law firms that remove MCs, not MCs, sorry, violations here and there. But buying a new MC, I have heard horror stories. Like people who want to buy an MC, they end up being very unpleasantly surprised from what I know, because it's like the authority age doesn't matter in that case, if that makes sense. Been in trucking for 20 years, started since I was 21. I see the ups and downs in the last 20 years. I'll still continue to go forward. I'm in this for the long term. That is amazing, Terrell. Yeah, I agree. I agree, but that's because I'm stubborn. I refuse to give up. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, so some days I wake up and I'm like, screw this. I don't want to do this anymore. But then, yeah. Jesse, I answered your question. If you want to haul reefer, you better have a co-driver because between load and unload timing, you won't have enough time to drive. That is very, very true. Reefers, definitely the loading and unloading time steal your hours quite a bit. That is to the gentleman who asked about the new MC. Thank you for what you do for us out here. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. The big carriers have so much retention that people are always looking to get out as owner ops, so it's hard. So much lack of retention, right? You mean lack of retention, the fact that their driver turnover is like 90% on a good day and 100% on a bad day? I think that's what you meant. Yeah, which would explain why there are still people coming into the industry, if I'm understanding your comment correctly. It would make sense that, like, because of the driver turnover at those mega carriers, people are leaving and they're opening up their own authority, which shows up in the data as people coming into this industry when it's not quite true. It's not that the amount of dispatchable trucks increases. It's just that the status of those drivers changes from company driver to owner, operator, carrier, and so on. My 6-year-old autistic son is always watching you. Can you please do a shout out for my son, Michael? Hi, Michael Alexander. Thank you for everything you do. Michael Angel, Bernius Angel Express LLC. Hi, Michael. Big shout out. um, when can we expect to see increase in fuel prices due to the war? Thankfully, we're not quite in a war yet. Hopefully never. We already see fuel price increases, and I just saw today. So just to give you an idea, let's take a look together. Oi, one moment, please. Let me just pull out my sonar. Where are my diesel prices? There you are. Okay, so this is according to sonar, right? The average diesel price per gallon according to truck stops. On June 9th, the average was around 354. Right now, on June 16th, it was around 357, now 373. So it already went up, unfortunately. I try to be on time. I really do. Hi, Ron. Always good to see you. I work for BMAC or a branch that's leased onto BMAC. That is amazing. Yeah, you guys, if you work for BMAC, I appreciate the fact that you negotiate. I had a really, really bad experience today with a broker. First time we have worked with, wasn't BMAC. I don't want to call them out, but yeah, it was just like a nasty experience where like no, what is it called? No responsibility, like the broker does not responsibility, what is the word I'm looking for? Basically, it was just a nasty experience. Ugh. Seriously, small carriers that cannot maintain a truck safely hire drivers should never be allowed on the highway. I sold my truck in 2009. Got it. Yeah. No, truck maintenance is very important. Truck maintenance is very important, and that's one of the dangerous parts of what is happening with the market right now, because right now people are chasing money just to be able to continue running, to be able to continue to make some money in order to just stay afloat, which means they're not actually maintaining their trucks. We have a lot of scary trucks out there right now. Yeah. Abdullah, just get rid of your DMs. Okay, this is between you guys. What is the average dollar per mile you should charge for box trucks? That is an excellent question, Sean. I am unfortunately not as familiar with box trucks. I try to teach from experience, right? And I have experience in dry vans, reefers, flatbeds, and step decks, even though that is not really counting as experience. But anyone here, if anyone knows box trucks, can you help Sean out? What is the average dollar per mile you should charge? That also, but Sean, regardless of what equipment type you have to remember that your average rate per mile that you should charge will directly depend on what is your cost per mile, right? And what kind of profit do you want to see? Load rates don't go up when fuel goes up. Yeah, no, the fuel surcharge does. Fuel surcharge. Mm, uh, duh, 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 duh. Okay, you guys, sorry. You guys are talking to me. I love seeing like conversations happening between folks here. It's always fun. Love your content. You're so beautiful and knowledgeable. I watch your videos all the Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Us Montanans say the only good paying freight goes through Montana and not to from Montana. Yeah, no, Montana is tough for sure. Again, I think it was November of last year where we had some luck in Montana, and it was also a part of Wyoming, which was northern Wyoming. I forgot what it was called, that place, but there were some loads there, which was very surprising. But usually Montana is very difficult to get out of. I would not survive this market if it were not for Bitcoin. Explain the Bitcoin. I'm not as familiar. I mean, I know of Bitcoin, but I have, I think, $100 worth of Bitcoin, and I don't know what's happening with it. I'm not really good at that stuff. ST's hiring need all endorsements, starting pay, extra board, 81 hotel every night. Nice. Um, Cattle hauling in Montana pays quite good. See, like that's specialized. I wish I had more data on that because that is really interesting and I can't find it anywhere. Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Idaho, expect crazy deadhead. Absolutely. I wouldn't take nothing paying under 8 miles out there. Yeah, no, for sure. 100%. I would argue Colorado as well. New Mexico started having some things that are interesting for flatbeds, but only if you're willing to go back to the West Coast, which doesn't help. But yeah, no, North Dakota, South Dakota. I would argue even Minnesota is very difficult. Pretty much all of Iowa for flatbeds, at least. Wisconsin is not great. Illinois is not great. Indiana, Ohio. Yeah. Um, yes, it does -30. Temperature would have to pay. Um, I'm just wondering, is June 25th really going to drop capacity and potentially increase rates along the way? I have a feeling non-citizens or non-English speakers won't really care to leave. You are not wrong. I mean, we're theorizing, right? We don't know until June 25th hits. I think what is going to, and I made a video about it. I think realistically, what's going to happen is it's going to indirectly decrease capacity. Speaking of which, I was speaking to a gentleman. He asked me to keep his identity private, which I'll do, but it was really interesting to talk to him. He is in law enforcement. And I was speaking to him and I was asking him questions about how he thinks this is going to happen. And he explained to me that an out of service order in English language proficiency is an out of service order on the driver. So, if, for example, they take the truck from the driver and put the driver out of service, the driver cannot get that truck back because the driver is out of service. And no matter what state they go to, it's going to show up the driver is out of service. And every state is going to be updated considering that everything's electronic. Another thing that was interesting that he told me is that possibly it's all going to be on video when the testing happens, right? And that protects both the officer doing the testing and the driver answering the interview or whatnot. But in terms, sorry, to answer your question, I think it's going to affect capacity indirectly in the long run because, again, at first, I think what's going to happen is some people are not going to care and will want to just run until they get caught. Other people are going to be too scared to run until they see a pattern. Once a pattern forms and you see that, okay, these states are really enforcing this English language proficiency and those states are not, the people who are not following the English language proficiency rule, they're going to be kind of confined to the states that don't really enforce it, right? And that just kills the competitive advantage. And that's how the capacity, that's my theory. That's my theory. If you don't keep good maintenance for your trucks, you'll never succeed. Yeah, I would have to agree. Yeah, out of service order. I mean, out of service orders suck. And I remember we had like an out of service order, which felt so unfair because my guy, he did a pre-trip, like drove just literally nothing down the road. And on the way, he picked up a tire, and what is it called, a nail or something, and he got pulled into a weigh station and you can hear a leak in the tire, and he did the pre-trip, everything was fine, and he got put out of service. So sometimes those out of service orders are like, that's not fair, but always maintain your truck. It's so important. Hiring new drivers. Oh, stop hiring new drivers without experience. Number one. Number two, it's going to be very difficult with insurance, right? Most insurance companies are very, very picky nowadays about experience. How do you feel about Mack truck? I mean, I've seen them, but I don't have much of an opinion about Mack trucks. I know a lot about Freightliners. I can tell you how I feel about them, considering that that's the equipment that we have been using in our company since 2019. But Mack trucks, I don't have experience with them. I'm a new flatbed driver from Montgomery, Alabama. Good place to start if you have a flatbed. What's a good rate per mile? So number one, any tips is just remember to secure your load. I know it's like very, very obvious, but just be careful with the load securement. Number two, in terms of rate per mile, it depends on your cost per mile, right? If you're in Montgomery, Alabama, if you're able to, it holds true even right now. If you're able to stay like Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, not too far to the east of Texas, right? Just somewhere Dallas or Houston. Houston is not as good, but Dallas, Houston, stick to those areas. You're going to make a really good rate per mile. You're not going to use as much fuel. Plus, the fuel is cheaper there. Yeah, be careful of the weight. Always be careful of the weight. Because that weight is going to, but that's applicable to any equipment type. And another tip is always try to come to delivery early. You're going to see that it's all first come, first serve for the most part. Try to come to delivery early if your logbook allows you. And then you have, oh, and another thing to remember, most shippers close at 3, right? So if you end up at delivery at like 2, at the cutoff time, you're probably not going to get another load. And on the weekends, if you're running through the weekend, be careful. On Friday, first of all, Saturday and Sunday, most shippers don't work. Second of all, Friday, everyone's panic booking. Yeah. Think positive, going to get better, just a matter of time and patience. 100%. I agree with you, and I love that. I love that advice. Whew, okay, let's see. All insurance companies are looking for 25K for truck for authority. Can that company survive? 25K per year for a new authority? I didn't fully understand. If it's 25K per year and if you're a new authority, that's not bad if you're a new CDL holder, especially. Hi, thank you for joining. Started this business by myself with no help, so I had to learn everything on my own, unfortunately. And the 2 out of service violations was in the beginning where I started. I really don't recommend. I try not to voice my opinion about certain things because I believe that people should make their own decisions. But if you were to ask me, I don't like the idea of, oh, this MC is already soiled with an out of service order, so I'm just going to go open up a new MC. It carries like a weird thing with it. I would say just learn from your mistake. Yeah, that's my opinion. I know your question was about insurance, and I would rather just shop for insurance and try to explain why you got those out of service orders to the insurance. Yeah. Plus, the FMCSA is cracking down on chameleon carriers, and that's what it is. Yeah. What are reefer rates now? So the last time I checked, which was last Thursday, let's see, the reefer rates were. The average was 231 per mile on the spot market, and that's including short hauls in all areas. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for answering. Box truck, $1.50 to $2.75 a mile, all miles, including deadhead, to and from the next load. Nice. Love it. Amazing. Cheyenne, Wyoming, precious cat, they're pretty good. I'm not familiar with them. Given a global political climate right now, where do you see the drive-in market in 6 months? You mean drive-van market in 6 months? Look, I think it doesn't matter which equipment type it is, realistically. I think given the fact that really a lot of historical events are happening all the time, it seems like, right? We're living through historical events every single day. I think there is a lot of instability right now in terms of business, especially, I think consumers are a little bit wary. And if consumers are wary, they're not as like, they don't want to buy as much. Another thing, like I said before, is interest rates, right? The interest rates have to come down. They're choking everyone at this point. Um, yeah, it's a lot of, I have more questions than I have answers, to be quite honest. So, yeah, but right now, the instability, it makes it hard for businesses to plan, I would say, not just trucking businesses, but the businesses that we serve when we're hauling freight. So, yeah, there has to be a little bit more stability, and the current global climate, what is happening in the world right now, makes people scared, which is part of the reason you saw those fuel prices go through the roof like this in a second. It's not so much that something was done, it was more the fear that something will be done. And that fear, that perception of reality from people is what drives the economy or fuel prices or whatnot up or down, which is quite interesting. Hello from Roseville, California, near Sacramento. Hello, Tracy. Real truckers don't wear flip flops. Hello, Joey. We we need to have inflation come down before interest rates will come down. True. Very true. Looks like Truck Smarter will be using AI for dispatch. I have Truck Smarter is a free load board. I have heard of Truck Smarter. I have never used them, but that's interesting. I don't know. I would not trust personally. I would not trust AI to do the negotiating for me. I like to talk to people no matter how, like today, again, I had a really, really unpleasant experience with a broker that we have been working with for 5 years. Very unpleasant experience to the point where it's like I'm never working with them again. Obviously, I was like, okay, in business, emotions aside, we can't do that. It was just one bad broker, like this lady. But in terms of the AI doing negotiations for you, I don't think I trust AI enough. Is it going to affect Amazon? Good question. I'm sure it will. Anything that affects the trucking industry will affect Amazon as well, to be fair. But to be frank, I have never worked with the Amazon. What is it called? With Amazon Relay, I think it's called. I have signed up when in the end of it was at the end of 2021, and I realized at the end of 2021 the rates were insane. They were absolutely insane, and Amazon Relay still had really bad rates, so I never gave them a chance. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure they're going to be affected as well. Do you think that they have a lawsuit already on ELO? I what is ELO? Am I missing something? What is ELO? I'm gonna tell them I'm Tony Montana, a political prisoner from Cuba. Um, then I have been in a box truck for 3 years, always trying to charge $1.80, $2 because by experience, 95% you will have to load and unload your truck, even if they tell you, so there's a lot of touch freight in box trucking. Interesting. What's a good rule to follow when pricing a direct shipper load? I secured my first shipper account. However, I may have scared them off with my rates. I charged them on the invoice. Oh no. Always when you're pricing out, regardless of whether it's a broker, whether you have to do a spot bid, or whether it's a long-term bid with a direct customer, you always have to consider your cost per mile. And I would, I mean, I always recommend erring on the side of caution. Figure out what kind of profit you want to make, and also kind of overestimate by 10-15% your variable expenses, especially because variable expenses like fuel, for example, went up to wazoo, right? So yeah, overestimate your variable expenses, your fixed expenses, and always base it on your cost per mile. Remember, out of service goes against you, your USDOT 5 points and insurance rate. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the safer score, the CSA. Yeah, insurance looks at it. Does not having post-trip inspections on logs affect us? They shouldn't, but you should really do them. And if someone audits you, like the FMCSA does a random or new entrant audit, yeah, it's a good thing to have, right? And it should be part of your everyday routine. Will the brokers start asking carriers if their drivers speak English? They already do. I have seen this happen. I mean, this has happened to me several times already. I see loads posted saying only English speaking. Uh, Today, nothing like that happened, but yeah, brokers are starting to ask that already. Let's go. Yes. Have reefer rates gone up? No. So actually, yes, week over week, if we're comparing the last week to the week before, rates on reefers actually went up on average 5 cents per mile. Yeah. And volumes went up by 0.5%. So we'll see what happens next. But this is comparing last week. No, sorry, not last week, the week before last to the week before that. Yeah, yeah. Hello, Joseph. If non-English proficiency drivers leave, I will probably go to 6 days a week. Me and my co-driver does Atlanta to Shreveport turns all week long, 6,000 miles drop hook. We each had 18 hours available. We could do another 1,200-mile run. Yeah, something to also remember, and this is just something, yeah, it's just logically, I'm thinking what might also happen. Let's say that, yes, capacity decreases to the point with this June 25th order. Let's say it decreases to the point where rates really start going up. There's a lot of invisible, I like to call them incognito capacity, right? These are folks who have their trucks paid off, who park them and are waiting for the market to get better. That capacity is going to come in, right? So always just something to remember that it's not so cut and dry. Unfortunately, I wish it was. It's really, really difficult when it's not. Hi there. Yes, live. Live. Just an FYI, if you're running a fleet, do W-2 company to go with is ADP. You can provide 401ks to your employees. I'm currently doing so. Yep, we used ADP. We always used ADP. Are the inspections still starting on the 25th? Where can I get helpful articles? How can I get my drivers prepared? Yes, the inspections start. The enforcement date is on the day after tomorrow, June 25th. Yeah. In terms of articles, I made a lot of videos on English proficiency and how they're going to test it. If you want to go to cvsa.org, I believe. Yeah. They have either they have or the FMCSA has like a little bit of info of what the test is going to look like. Like that, it's basically going to be a two-part interview, right? Number one is understanding of the English language. Number two, signs, road signs. Hi, I'm a dispatcher and want to work in Houston only. What would you suggest me? Please advise. If you want to work in Houston, like local, you want to dispatch only local runs. Flatbeds are not bad for Houston, I would say, especially local. There's a lot of Texas to Texas. Yeah. So what is a good insurance company to go with? Because Progressive is going to be expensive. From what I remember, Progressive is going to be expensive. I cannot recommend you an insurance company. It's going to change state by state, right? Not every single insurance carrier is going to insure you based on what state you're in. We use Benchmark, sorry. I love Benchmark. Absolutely adore them. So yeah, benchmark is amazing. But they also have very strict rules, right? They will not allow you to hire a driver who is less than 2 years of experience. If the person has 20 years of experience, but has something like speeding in a school zone on their own car, like the non commercial car, they're not going, they're very strict, basically. Um, Oops, sorry. Do you have family in the Middle East? No, I do not. I do not. CDL holder for 9 years with interruption of 3 years, lost five half CDL, and I got 25K for new authority. Is it a good or bad deal? For this market, it's not bad, considering what insurance companies charge. Um, yeah, it's not bad. It also depends on which state you're based out of, right? Certain state like California and New Jersey, you're going to get the most expensive insurance out there. Um, I believe which one is the cheapest? I don't remember, but it doesn't sound bad to me. Mhm. Yes, they're still starting. I mean, they should be starting on the 25th. Yes. Oh, I answered your question already. Sorry. Uh, oh, yikes. I need to read up on news. Yeah, I mean, I heard what happened on Saturday, and then I kind of switched off the news. Oh, what's the difference between buying a semi truck and leasing? You mean buying cash or financing and leasing? If you're talking about lease purchase programs, I'm going to tell you they're absolutely awful. This is where I don't try to remain neutral. Lease purchase programs, for the most part, are absolutely awful, especially with mega carriers because they screw you out of money and out of a truck. Financing, truck. I mean, right now, the problem right now is the interest rates, but financing a semi truck is not bad. If you are able to put down a big down payment, that might help you negotiate interest rates if you have a good relationship with the financing company. I always recommend, and something I have learned is that when you are planning to finance a truck, you're making a decision based on what is happening right now. And you don't really think of what is going to happen in a year from now. So when you're agreeing to something that is going to be with you for 3, 4, 5 years, this is something you'll have to pay off over that time. You're not really thinking about, well, what's the situation going to be in 3 years from now? That being said, it keeps you on your toes. I can't say I regret financing our trucks because it has taught us how to live lean, like really lean. So, yeah, financing a truck, you just have to find a good financing company and you have to negotiate those interest rates. If you have the cash, put a bigger down payment. It's better not to have those big fixed expenses. Yeah, the Saturday thing, as I said, I watched it on Saturday. Do you know why diesel fuel is so much more expensive everywhere, not just California anymore? I'm in Missouri County. Yeah, it's because of what happened on Saturday when they bombed the three nuclear sites. Iran said that they're going to close that. I forgot what it's called, the canal, um, which basically would screw up the fuel supply. As far as I understand, they cannot do it because of China. China would be negatively affected by that, which is something that they don't want to do. But the panic that it caused all over the US is why the diesel prices went up. I already answered that question. Fuel prices go up and down for 6 months after a new president is elected. Also true. Maybe then have it pull some good loads. Then I'll bid if you want to bid on the loads. Mhm. Uh, Hi. Sorry, I skipped some because I know you guys are talking to each other. Iran couldn't hit the side of a barn 10 feet in front of. Ah. How can I get prepared for the upcoming inspection? Keep your truck maintained, right? Make sure your tires are in good conditions, your brakes, make sure your logs are in good condition, your hours. I mean, that you don't have, be careful with personal conveyance for crying out loud, because it looks like the CVSA is trying to be more strict with personal conveyance. So be careful with personal conveyance, and remember it's at the discretion of the officer. In terms of the English proficiency, from what I have read and heard, it's going to be a two-part test. If they feel like you're not understand, like if an officer feels like you're not understanding what he or she is telling you, they might conduct an English proficiency test. Two-part. First is as I understand, a comprehension, and part two is signs and signals. Yeah. Northland Insurance has been giving better rates on for newer carriers. Great West uh, is the highest, but they're the best. Um, what was the scoop with someone highway calling you with broker type questions? That happened again today. Yeah, it happened again today. So I guess this is something that they're starting to do. I did dig and I found out that, yeah, it's on Highway's website. If you take a look at their frequently asked questions, if you go into your carrier profile, go to frequently asked questions, you will see that they do call. They ask for the VIN number, the last four of the VIN, to compare it against insurance to make sure that the truck is insured. They ask about ELD connection. They ask about location. And that's pretty much it from what I remember. Yeah, but they do call. They called again today, and this was a different broker. Check your tire pressure first, always. No idea. Oh, I feel like I've been smiling too much. My jaw hurts. Chris Adams, high interest rates is what causes inflation, not opposite. Sorry, guys. Yeah, yeah. Do you believe at all in chasing the miles rather than chasing the rate? No. I believe in chasing two things: the gross income and the rate per mile have to be good, right? We do not chase miles at all. Wondering if you had an LLC, can you use that, or do you have to use the company you're leased on to? That is a great question. That is a great question. Can anyone help out? Has your company been hit by ice yet? No. Why? No. Why would it? No. No ice raids here. A lot of ice raids in Los Angeles, from what I have been seeing and hearing. A lot of ice raids everywhere, really. But no. And I lost my place. I'm so sorry, guys. Thank you for your support, by the way, EC. I'm so sorry. I lost my place. Um, you have been doing a great job educating us. Really appreciate that, Ten. Thank you. Thank you so much. What do you think about expanding with reefers under this chaos northeast region? Totally understand you guys operating flatbed. I'm so grateful the knowledge you provide us. Thank you so much. What do I think about expanding? Look, I think it's a personality thing, right? I wear suspenders with a belt. This is something I'm not even shy to admit. I am very, very cautious. At the same time, I understand that if you have a good safety cushion, and if your operations work right now, if you're generating income and you just want to add to that and expand, yeah, why not? If you feel like you're expanding to make your current operations survivable, I wouldn't. Does that make sense? Like if you're struggling right now and you think adding reefers and adding trucks to your fleet is just going to make it better, I wouldn't do that, because I have, yeah, I mean, I've learned the hard way at certain points. But if your operations work, you're generating money and you just want to multiply it, why not? Uh, they'll pay for school, probably offer you a contract for 10, 12 months, which they will get 5 times that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Those are difficult. um, just be careful with the carriers you work with. There's a lot of just bad carriers out there. Not all of them, just there are some. I use ADP, but it's through 1800 accountant BS. I like ADP. Um, thank you. Remind me, I was thinking it was 20. Let's see. I'm going to go down a little bit just to answer questions because I'm going to bounce in 5 minutes. Um, thank you, Axel. Thank you so much. I need to watch that. Da-da-da. Miranda, what do you do towards retirement sometime next century? I hope. Nothing. Nothing. You mean how am I preparing for it? I'm not yet. What do I want to do? I don't ever want to retire. I am a strong believer that the moment you stop working is the moment you start dying. So I don't ever want to retire. That's just my thought. Sorry, guys, gonna skip some of you. Just like I'm just gonna go through the questions. Um, but I appreciate all of you writing. Um, something about trucking. Progressive is this is not really a question, but yeah, I'm not a fan either. If progressive isn't cheap for you, you got a messed up DMB report. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Progressive, this is not, I know it's not a question, but I really, really like the comment. Progressive will increase prices like crazy, even if you have something as small as a small ticket here or a small like safety violation on a roadside inspection. That is 100% true. Yes. However, progressive is not always cheap. It depends on the state you're in, right? If you have a new MC or sorry, if you have a new CDL holder, it's going to be expensive regardless. But yes, it's very, very true that they're so strict that even if you have the smallest violation, your insurance price goes up or they drop you. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for pointing this out. Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Good question. Do you prefer booking loads in advance, 1 to 3 days, or do you do it same day to get a better rate? How many flatbeds do you dispatch? So I do. I don't. I do book the same day usually. I stopped pre-booking loads because I I started running into the problem of shippers, either I've had issues where shippers wouldn't come to unload the truck, and then I had to let down the next broker, and I just didn't like doing that. I pride myself very much on building a good reputation in the company, regardless of how I feel about certain brokers. The reputation is very important to me. So after doing that, and plus the rates, yeah, the rates get better if you wait, if you're able to wait, and if it's getting close to the cutoff time, yeah, rates get much better. Where was I? Are reefer rates going to get better soon? I'm stuck here in Pennsylvania on a day hot enough to make the devil sigh. Yeah, apparently it's really, really hot, both in the Midwest and the East Coast. But rates, are they going to get better soon? It depends on the market, right? It depends on the market. The market right now is on shaky ground, I would say. Miss my driver fill out the carrier packet saying is not connected, but my driver saying that connected already. Can you tell me what was the real issue? The ELD connection, as far as I know, needs to be done through highway from the carrier side. It's like under the profile or equipment or something. What do you prefer, DAT or Amazon? Neither. I prefer Truck Stop. I use Truck Stop as my load board. I do have a DAT subscription, but only for the heat map. Thank you. Let's see. No stress. I always enjoy questions I can't answer because it teaches me something as well. Will an out of service inspection give me trouble renewing insurance? Not necessarily. It depends on what the out of service was, right? It could increase your rate a little bit, but we're not perfect. We've had out of service orders. Our insurance has decreased year over year, and our insurance is strict, like very strict. Thank you, you see, ice, ice baby. Thank you so much for your support. My God, my voice is going, dying. Um, duh. Okay, let's see. I'll take a few more like two more. Uh, okay, so I have heard of something like I don't know what it is though. Sil- I've heard something about this is a load board. Okay. I have never used them. I have heard of them, but I have never heard something like out of this world good about them. Yes, this is very true. I agree. I am very openly against lease purchase programs for the most part. I think they're just a way to screw over people who have a dream of owning their own truck. It's just a mess. I think it's horrible. Not everyone, let's be fair. I always try to be fair. Not everyone, but the majority of people who do lease purchase programs, like the big carriers especially, nothing good in them. Um, any advice on how to secure loads for a new authority? All right, this is going to be, I'm sorry, guys, my last question because I do have to bounce. But yes, so on Truck Stop, first of all, there are certain brokers who are known to work with new authorities, TQL, for example. They are one of those brokers that work with new authorities. Number two, try to focus on smaller brokers because TQL, even though they work with new authorities for some loads, they are, you cannot use them as a reference regardless. If you work with smaller brokers, the mom and pop, they're amazing. First of all, those are the brokers you want to build relationships with, and those are the brokers you can build relationships with. Number two, you can use them as a reference when booking the next load, right? If you keep a reference list, that always helps you out. Yeah, and number three is if you end up in an area where it's predominantly, like usually very difficult for brokers to find trucks, there are areas like this, then you can use that list of references to get that next load and try to build trust. But something I recommend to anyone, regardless of whether you're a new authority or seasoned in this industry, try and work with those mom and pop brokers because number one, you can build a relationship with them. I know because I think like 4 or 5 brokers that I would go out of my way for. If the market were to turn and be on the carrier side, I would go out of my way to help those brokers. It's always the same person on the phone. You know them by name. No one is changing. So it's not like a huge team like TQL, which has 250 people working on one load. So yeah, try to work with those smaller brokers, build trust, and yeah. And in terms of, sorry, one last thing, worst rates ever, small brokers always depending on factoring. Yes, exactly. TQL, I don't see their loads anymore. I have on Truck Stop, you can block. Well, I don't think it's even Truck Stop. I think it's the extension that I have, or I don't know, maybe it is Truck Stop. Basically, I block them off. I don't see any of their loads anymore. I refuse. I have blocked a lot of brokers. Yeah. Anyway, guys, why haven't you fixed the market yet? I know I'm trying. Darn it, it's so hard. I thought it would be easier. Anyway, thank you so much for joining on this impromptu live. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry that I have to bounce pretty early. I have done an almost 2 hour live before, but today, unfortunately, is not one of those days. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Monday and that you end up in good markets with a lot of options and brokers calling you like crazy and begging you to take their freight. This is what I wish for all of you. Very high rates, safe roads, and easy loads. All right, guys. See you in the next video. Oh, someone blocked TQL and DAT. Yep. So I did the same thing on truck stop. Bye, guys.